1491, Columbus landed in America. Not the US, America, the Americas, America. He was surrounded by primitive savages. They had outdated views of women, lived isolated lives, and barely knew how to survive in the world. Columbus brought these simple folks to America. That's right, the primitive savages I'm talking about were the Europeans. Boom! The dominant narrative of history suggests that Europeans came to the United States and Latin America, bringing progress and civility, law and order, Chipotle and McMansions. Yikes! The truth isn't remotely so black and white. That's a delicious cookie that I like to eat. We wish we could have a delicious black and white truth cookie? No, that's not how life is. The American Indians were from the future. I'm not saying every aspect of American Indian culture was amazing and perfect. Some things were definitely whack. The Aztec sacrificed living people. That was a bit, oh no. The Inca married their own sisters to keep the bloodline pure. That was a little, no. Sometimes in war, certain tribes would feed their still living enemies to dogs. Not good. Awesome, but not good. Every culture has flaws. There's a version of history in which the Europeans really were the savages, ruining an advanced American Indian society with their gross beards. Ugh. Let's start in the colonies with a figure we all know, Ben Franklin. In 1753, he wrote something strange. When an Indian child has been brought up among us, taught our language, habituated to our customs, and yet if he goes and one Indian rambles with him, there's no persuading him ever to return. Indian boys who'd been raised English ran off to be with the Indians. You can imagine the confusion, frustration of this pompous aristocrat. Why, oh why, would anyone want to be an Indian? I've written an almanac! Stop, Ben, quiet. Go get electrocuted by a key in the sky, you freak. Some of the reason people ran away was prosperity. Indians were effective hunter-gatherers, agriculturists, but there was something different about Native American culture that enticed the colonists. Teepees. No, it wasn't teepees. One theory, credible theory if you ask me, says it was the notion of a tribe. Many Native American societies consisted of bands of people working together. Unlike capitalist societies, most Indians simply owned what they could carry. This has far-reaching cultural implications. Dare I say it? Mind-blowing implications. American Indians weren't divided by vastly differing levels of wealth. Men and women gained status through participation in the tribe. This reflected on each individual's values, but also physically on their living spaces. To compare, do you remember when you were a kid and you had to sleep alone? Wasn't that a nightmare? I hated it. I used to always beg to sleep with my parents. Mom, please, let me sleep in your room. The practice of children sleeping alone was largely a European thing. Native Americans slept in massive communal buildings where no one slept alone. The Europeans, those poor, bearded savages, too primitive to realize that the dark is scary AF. I've never said AF out loud before, and I'm not comfortable with it. I now realize why he's crying. That's clearly a white man dressed as Indian. He's hurt because I'm explaining why Indians are badass. I looked it up, that guy's actually Italian. So many Indians successfully lived in a communal manner. And I'm not saying we should all run off and join a commune and live like hippies and drink kombucha. But hey, it was working for the Indians. They were happier than the settlers, and some of them who gave it a shot were like, hey Ben, I don't wanna read Poor Richard's Almanac, all right? I'm gonna go hang out with the Indians. We're gonna go kill bison. Some people go even farther and say all this lack of community in our current culture in European values is killing it. Author Sebastian Junger writes in Tribe that suicide among American Indians pre-colonization was virtually unheard of. Though Indian societies were generally more communal, women had greater independence. White women barely got the right to vote in the United States in 1920. But hundreds of years prior, on the very same land, it was exclusively Iroquois women who chose the men who led their tribe during times of war. Basically, women were like the Electoral College. They got a pick that represented them and their interests. The men didn't even vote. They were just selected. These women were empowered instead of being effed over. It was like Tinder. Hundreds of men to choose and women just like, no, 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 he's no good at all. In the words of an anonymous colonial woman who lived with the Indians, she said this: "Here I have no master. I work only for myself. I shall marry if I wish and be unmarried again when I wish." Damn, you just got told, civilized Europeans. There was some things that Europeans, Western culture, could have learned from the American Indians back there. But no, they mainly spent the time killing them. I'm Danny Vega. This is Mind Blown. Mind blown, blown mind. Tell me in the comments below what blows your mind.